A mother's heart is a prophet. This saying exists for a reason. Mothers can truly sense when something bad is happening to their children. This woman didn't raise her child due to circumstances, but she sensed trouble and spent decades trying to uncover the truth behind a dark story. Kathy Terkanian gave birth to a baby girl in 1974. The young mother was only 16 at the time. She didn't want to give up her child, but her mother persuaded her, insisting that, at such a young age, she couldn't handle such responsibility. It was a closed adoption, and Terkanian didn't attempt to look for Alexis Badger, the name given to the girl, believing they could reconnect when her daughter grew older. But fate did not give her that chance. In April 2010, Kathy received a letter from the adoption agency. It stated that her child had gone missing in 1989 at the age of 14. An unidentified body had been found near a cornfield, and the police needed a DNA sample from the biological mother to determine the identity of the deceased. The results did not match. However, Terkanian was determined to get to the bottom of things and find her daughter. She knew the birth date, which was enough to reopen the case in the Michigan State Police Missing Persons Department. Kathy learned that her daughter had been given a new name, Andria Michelle Bowman, and had lived in Hamilton, Michigan. Kathy created a social media page titled Find Andria Bowman, which was quickly flooded with messages of support. And not only that, she also received a lot of critical and valuable information that helped her piece together the case. The little girl had stayed in an orphanage for about a year. When she was just over a year and a half old, she was adopted by Dennis and Brenda Bowman. They gave her a new name, Andria. 10 years later, Brenda gave birth to a daughter, Vanessa, and the family moved to Hamilton. Kathy reached out to Carl Koppelman, an accountant who, in his spare time, works to find missing people. Carl began helping with the investigation. Throughout the process, the biological mother spoke personally with many people she met online who had known Andria during her childhood. The testimonies of many witnesses shattered the image of a respectable, happy family. One person recounted an evening when they went to dinner at the Bowman's house. They noticed that the parents were eating hamburgers while Andria and her friend were only given sandwiches with ketchup and mustard. The friend remembered that when Andria whispered that it was the only food she was allowed to eat, Dennis came over and struck her. The blow was so forceful that the girl nearly fell off her chair. During the investigation, it was also revealed that in the fall of 1988, Andria confided in her adoptive mother that her father had tried to make advances toward her. Brenda didn't believe the teenager, claiming she was just trying to get attention. The girl then went to her teacher, who reported the incident to the police. The parents were called in for questioning, but both insisted it was all slander, saying Andria was fine and attributing her behavior to teenage hormonal changes. A month later, the family suddenly moved to a sparsely populated area in Allegan County without providing anyone with an explanation. Shortly afterward, in early March 1989, the couple went to the police station to report their daughter missing, or rather, as they claimed, she had run away. Supposedly, Andria had taken some money, left nearly all her belongings, and disappeared. A search of her room yielded no useful clues, nor did questioning her friends. Her disappearance was considered voluntary, and the sluggish investigation eventually fizzled out. Kathy Terkanian worked tirelessly to keep the case in law enforcement's sights, but to discover what had truly happened to Andria, the police first needed to solve another murder case. Detective John Smith, assigned to review cold cases at the Norfolk Police Department in Virginia, re-examined a 1980 murder case involving Kathleen Doyle, the wife of a U.S. Navy pilot. At the crime scene, investigators had found a blanket with biological traces, DNA analysis led to a match: Dennis Bowman, the very same upstanding husband and father who had taken in an abandoned little girl. The detective dug into Bowman's past and uncovered intriguing details. Dennis had been stationed for a 2-week service with the Navy in Norfolk. Detective Smith visited Dennis, casually chatted with him, and later took the cup he drank from for DNA testing. It matched the DNA found on the blanket. Dennis was arrested in 2019, and he confessed to the murder. At one point, Dennis requested a meeting with his wife, Brenda. He insisted that cameras be turned on for the conversation. "She's dead," Dennis told his wife. "She was dead from the very beginning." Dennis then confessed that he'd had an argument with Andria at home. She had tried to run away, threatening to go to the police and report his abuse. He said he struck her, causing her to fall backward onto the landing in their home. Realizing the fatal outcome, Dennis acted calmly and coldly. He placed Andria's body in a barrel and left it near the trash bins for pickup. But that wasn't the end of it. Eager for attention, Dennis repeatedly altered his story in letters and phone conversations with Brenda. In a crucial phone call, he told her that Andria was actually buried in their backyard. He admitted that her body had been right under your nose for the last 3 decades. Authorities brought in a bulldozer to search the property. Soon they found the barrel Dennis had described. Inside, alongside Andria, they discovered trash, including candy wrappers marked with the year 1989, the year of Andria's disappearance. Dennis only admitted to the murder after being promised that he could serve his life sentence in Michigan, closer to his wife and daughter, rather than in Virginia. On February 7, 2022, Dennis was convicted of second-degree murder. He is currently serving 2 life sentences for the murders of Andria and Kathleen Doyle, but in Virginia, not Michigan. The detectives had tricked him. It's hard to judge or justify Kathy Terkanian's decisions. She didn't raise her child and gave her up, hoping it would lead to a better life. She had always hoped to meet her daughter one day to explain her choice. That meeting finally came, but in a terrible way. Kathy received half of her daughter's cremated remains, with the other half going to Brenda, Andria's adoptive mother. Kathy felt this was a cruel mockery. She believes, as do many, that Brenda must have known about her husband's behavior toward Andria and what he did to her. She enabled his previous crimes and bears partial responsibility for Andria's tragic death. Kathy intends to go to court to claim all of her daughter's remains. Although Kathy didn't raise or care for her daughter during her life, she did everything she could to find justice for her in death. And that concludes our coverage of this tragic story. If you found this video informative or thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on cases like these. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to share this video with your friends and give it a thumbs up if you found it valuable. Thank you for watching.